Hello, I'm Steph from iDriver Classic, and today we're at the NEC Classic Motor Show 2024. And goodness me, what a year it has been, because as you know, we have spent so many hours getting the wonderful little Speedy ready to be here. We finished at what, 5:30 yesterday morning, and then she got here. Anyway, it's been quite an adventure. Now, there are some great show reports coming up from people like Hubnut, Furious Driving. So in today's video, I want to take a slightly different tact. I'm going to show you bits of the show, but for me, this year is all about the stories, because every car here has a story behind it. Classic cars are never just cars. So in today's video, we're going to go for a walk around the show, find some interesting cars, meet some interesting people, and hear their stories. Because for me, that's always the greatest joy of the Classic Motor Show. Come on, let's go and see what we can find. Apologies that I've lost my voice. I'm going to show you around some of the vehicles that we necessarily didn't get to talk to people as well, because there are so many incredible vehicles here, and I know that this is not the cheapest show in the calendar, but if you have a good solid pair of walking boots on, this is definitely the place to be in November, because there are more cars here than you can shake a stick at. I even met somebody who come from Australia. Well, goodness me, I had to pick this car, or should I say vehicle, as my very first interesting vehicle to show you. This is a Dodge Space Van from 1979, but it's not just any Dodge Space Van. Andy, over to you. Tell us the story.
So this vehicle is a TV detector van, designed to try and catch licensed Dodgers back in period. Very basic equipment inside with the antennae on the top. It used to cruise along the road, stop outside a house, zoom in with the signals and try and find what channel they were on, and then go and knock on the door and say, where's the license?
Yeah. Do you think it actually worked, or do you think it was a myth?
Well, we've spoken to people who worked on it, and they assure us that they did get prosecutions from it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, some of the equipment in it's quite basic. I can show you some of it if you want, but it apparently worked.
Come on, come and show us the equipment.
Yeah.
Come on, Richard. Richard's behind the camera today. Oh wow, look at this. Over to you, Andy, tell us all about it.
So the operator sat in his chair in there with his headphones on, put the signal out, and then looked through a little area here to zoom in on the actual house. As soon as he got a signal, he pressed a button on his oscilloscope, printed a picture, and then put it into this really crude device.
Yeah.
With strings on it that told them exactly what channel it was on.
That's amazing.
And then they would use that as the evidence in court to prosecute somebody. So very basic, but I think very effective deterrent in the period. Yeah.
That is incredible. And how has it survived this long?
Well, Martin Maltese, who's got this vehicle, is obsessed with Comma PB vans and Dodge vans. Yeah. So at one point he had 30 of them.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's got about 9 left now.
So does he take it out regularly? Because I've never seen it before.
No, it's not been used for quite a while actually. So he's done a lot of restoration work to it, thank goodness, and kept it just as it is. But he's got fire engines, ambulances, all sorts of vehicles as well. Yeah. And
I think absolutely, he's not here today, unfortunately, but absolute credit to him, because it's very easy to restore a vehicle where all the panels are made.
Yeah.
It's very difficult when you have something like this. So all credit to him.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, he's had to make panels for it. So yeah, he's done a good job.
Yeah, an incredible job.
And we just wanted a vehicle on the Roots Archive stand that was different, and it certainly worked.
Well, thank you so much for bringing it, and putting on this show and putting on this display. It's fantastic.
You're welcome. Thanks.
If you haven't been to the show in the last few years, I think something that might jump out to you in this video is that the show has changed an awful lot. There's a lot more emphasis on stuff that isn't necessarily high value. There's a mix of cars on certain stands. And for me, that brings a different richness to the show, because the way it used to be, where it was just staid cars in a row, not much going on, it didn't feel as exciting as it seems to feel nowadays. This was one of my favourite stands, the Women Drivers Social Club. This is one of my dearest overseas friends, John Volker, or Mr. V as he's known in the circles. Now, John, tell us where this car has come from, because it's possibly travelled one of the biggest distances to make it to the NEC.
Well, it was most recently in Derby, and before that it was in southeast London, but then it was in the Netherlands. We took it on Miners on Tour, which was pretty wonderful, and performed like a champ. Luckily, we haven't quite crossed 20,000 miles from new. So we drove it in here. We've got about 35 miles to go. But I thought this was really nice, wonderful event for the car, 75 years and a bit.
Absolutely. Now, for anybody listening, they're going to know that's not a Dutch accent. So you and the car haven't started in the Netherlands. Where did you start?
This car actually started in Manitoba, Canadian province, bought by a farmer, and because it has no water pump, it has no heater, and it does get cold there, so he simply put it away in the winter, which meant that the family I bought it from in Saskatchewan was able to find it on a used car lot in 1976 with 1,300 miles on it.
Wow.
Imagine. So they bought it as a second family car, which was, and used it. We've got all the family photos from them, different generations. The son I bought it from getting taller till he's taller than the car, starting as a little boy like this. And eventually they couldn't really keep it. His dad died. He wrote me and said, do you know anyone who wants to buy it? And we went back and forth, and when I saw a picture of the odometer, and when I saw that it's never rusted, it's got all the original stuff underneath, I thought, well, and then COVID hit. So it took a long time for me to get the car. It got shipped to Ontario, so it's been in actually 5 Canadian provinces. We took it across the border to New York State via Niagara Falls. It's been at my house, and then we shipped it to the Netherlands for Miners on Tour, and then drove around there, Germany a little bit, and then back to England, stayed here for a while, and here we are. And it's going to Liverpool on Monday because we have a 6-month window, and otherwise His Majesty's Revenue Service will start to want some money from us. So this one and that one are both going back to the States.
And so where in, if you don't mind us asking, where in America are you based?
I'm in the Hudson Valley, which is straight up from New York City, about 150 miles. And my pal Tom, who drove that one, which is from Los Angeles, get him to tell you that story. He's in New Hampshire, which is, 3-4 hours drive.
And is there quite a big scene for people that love British classics over there?
It is waning, I have to say, to be honest, as people age out. One of the things I love about coming to England is that people, I get to say this because I'm an old guy with silver hair, people your age, get to really get the passion and continue to collect, use, restore, and drive these cars. But I was always the youngest person at any Morris Minor gathering about 50 years ago, and sometimes I still am.
That's a real shame.
Yeah, it is. But I was happy to be able to get this one and put it back on the road and really just drive it, because that was what they were meant for.
Well, thank you so much for bringing it all the way from America, via the Netherlands, via everywhere else, and thank you for being at the show.
Oh, well, and thank you for continuing to promote old and occasionally weird British cars.
No, I love it.
Because I've been on my stand a lot and I've been looking around, I've been doing a lot of people watching during the NEC, and I've noticed that a lot of the stands at the busiest are the cars where they weren't the most expensive thing when they came out. And in fact, more attention and excitement is being given to these just everyday vehicles over some of the more expensive stuff. However, it is brilliant to see a mixed fit because it takes all sorts to make our community.
Now, this isn't something you see every day, and in fact there's an array of interesting cars here that I did film last night. Now, this is Michael, and this is his Fiat 125 pickup. Michael, what's the story behind this vehicle?
I bought that car 2 months ago, but it was original England version with the right-hand drive and was very popular in England, to be honest. Very people buy that car because it's pickup for the farm. Yeah. And I tried to restore that car for beautiful, but we will see what's going on.
So where did you get it from?
I bought that from guys from UK, from Birmingham. Yeah.
Oh, so not far from here then?
Yeah. I live in Northampton, and I haven't got that far to pick up that.
And is it your first one?
No, I've got Fiat 126. We rebuilt that on NEC in March last year, and I've got old Mercedes as well.
And what got you into these? What got you into these cars?
to be honest. I don't know yet.
No, that's fine. And so you've got quite a lineup with the club here.
Yeah.
How do you all find each other? You're on Facebook or?
Yeah, we've got Facebook group. On our group is 18,000 people.
Wow.
We're doing our events as well. We run all over England as well.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for such a cracking stand of interesting vehicles, and well done for keeping them on the road.
Thank you.
If I wasn't somebody who lived and died by all the clutter that they bring absolutely everywhere, I would definitely want a little micro car like one of these Hengels or one of the Isettas. I absolutely adore them. They're one of my favourite of the classic vehicles. They're also well out of my price range as well. Now, something that I think is really important, especially as our classic car community ages, is to remember all the old stuff as well. So it's really great to see people out like the Wolseley Register, who, by the way, if you fancy joining them, are really, really active. They're a great club. They had the Riley Club out. And I think it's just as important to celebrate all this rare Eastern Bloc stuff as well as the old classics.
This is Clive, and he's going to have a chat with us today about the oldest surviving Austin 1800. And remember, these were Alex Sagodis' favourite car. He said that this was his best creation above the Mini, the Morris Minor, everything. Now, what's the story behind this?
The story, this was one of 8 cars that were taken to Garth in Scotland on the launch. And sadly, only 7 of them came back because Sterling Moss wrote one of them off.
Really?
Yeah, he hit a Hillman Minx with it quite heavily. It destroyed the Hillman Minx, but it survived, but not as a drivable vehicle. And this was took back to the factory. It's got lots of add-ons. They've modified certain parts in it. It's got a steering lock in it, and you know, it's as they've gone along, they've changed the headline and changed. So then, when the launch had done and all the testing was, you know, all the demonstrations and everything was done up in Garth, they took back to the factory at Longbridge, and obviously had all these add-ons done and testing and all the rest of it. And then the guy that bought this he was an employee, and he bought the car from the factory, and he ran it for quite a while, and it obviously got damaged and one thing or another, and it's been restored to its present condition, but it is the only surviving one. There was another one taken to America, but it didn't survive.
Oh.
So the rest of them went to the graveyard, I suppose, up at Longbridge. But that's the basic story of it. The guy that's got it now, he actually bought it here last year at the auction. You know, so it's you know, been about, but not too many owners, to be honest. I think it's had 4 owners, including the factory.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, it's a lovely, lovely car. What other extras did BMC? Well, I guess is it BMC or BL by that point?
BMC.
Is it still
yeah,
BMC?
Yeah.
What other bits did they put on apart from the steering lock?
Well, unless you know all the ins and outs of it, the little things like the door cards were slightly upgraded, the steering, the seats were upgraded, and obviously the headlining's been done, and little things like the wiper motor was on the other side, because at some stage it was taken abroad and it was made left-hand drive.
Oh, right.
So then when it got brought back, it's got put back to right-hand drive. So there is the bits under the bonnet that you can tell that it's been, had things done to it. But basically, the guy that bought it from the factory, he's tried to keep it, so as it's usable.
No, that's great. Oh, well, thank you so much for chatting away to us, and have a great show.
Lovely, thank you.
Cheers.
Now, one of the biggest problems for me and Fred is whenever we go to a car show or anything like that, there's always one of us that is really loving it and thinks these are some of the best vehicles ever. And there's another one of us thinking, I'd rather be at a different show, because our interests are completely different. So Fred loves his 4x4s, his later JDM stuff, whereas for me, especially the JDM stuff, it's really not my bag. And so the great thing about something like the NEC Classic Car Show is as I hope I've shown you in the video, there is such a diverse range of vehicles that even if you and whoever your plus one is or your plus ones don't like the same cars, you're both going to get something out of the day, which is so important because it means you both have a great day out, no one's humouring the other one, and if someone's nerding out over a certain car, you can just walk off and leave them and find each other later. So for me, this is why this show always ticks a box.
Okay, so this is Dave and this is his Isetta. Now this story is brilliant. Dave,
hello.
Tell us the story behind this Isetta.
Okay, so this Isetta was built in Brighton, like all the UK cars, under licence from BMW in Germany. It was sold in 1960 to its first owner, who used it for 5 years as normal, clocking up approximately 26,000 miles. Then it was sold to its second owner through a motorcycle dealer in Leamington Spa called Jack Butler. The second owner was a Mr. Humphreys, who bought it with the intention of teaching his wife to drive. Never happened. So in 1966 it got put into the back of a garage, and there it sat until March this year, 2024, when I was contacted by the then owner's now son, saying, I've got this bubble car in the back of my garage, would you like to come and have a look? And here we are.
No way. How many miles has it got on it?
It's done 26,000,
it?
which is quite a lot actually for one of these, which it's obviously done in the first sort of 5 years of its life with the first owner. And what can I say? It's very, very well preserved. It was quite a drafty garage, which we think has actually saved its life. You know, to find one these days in this condition, all original, untouched, is quite rare. So I had to have it, and the intention is to not restore it, but to preserve it. And the Owners Club, which I'm part of, is going to use this almost as a reference car, so that we can, you know, see what they were actually like in the flesh, as it were.
Do you know, it gives me goosebumps. It's fantastic. So I assume you've not had to do too much to it to get it back on the road? Minimal to get it done. The engine was seized, as you would expect, after sort of 57 years. So we freed that up with a bit of diesel and a bit of, you know, a bit of gentle persuasion. Rebuilt the carburettor, fuel tap, fresh fuel. Freed up the brakes, a couple of brake pipes, a couple of rubber bushes that were perished, as you would expect. Put a new battery on it, obviously. Started it straight up, and would you believe everything worked? That was the balmy thing. I put a battery on it, and I'd turn the ignition, and I was just going through all the lights, and it was like, oh my God, it's working, you know. Put some fuel in it, and it turned it over, and it fired up within 30 seconds, and it's just testament to BMW quality, I would think, back in the day, you know. You know what, well done, and I love the fact, I'm sure many of you at home will also love the fact that this car is not being restored.
No.
Because as we talk about all the time, cars are only original ones, and
exactly,
do you not think when you just turn them into giant corgi models,
well,
you've just lost it?
I've restored quite a few of these over the years. I've got a very, very nice shiny one at home. Do I want another shiny one? No, I don't. I want an original one, and it's going to stay original.
Dave, thank you so much.
Lovely to see you, lovely to chat to you.
Probably my favourite car of the show. Right.
That's what we like to hear.
Let's go see what else we've got. Bye, Dave.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Now here's the thing, okay? I could have rushed around all the halls really, really quickly and tried to see everything, but actually I wanted to spend time with people, chatting about their vehicles, seeing what they brought, and trying to show you that every car has a story behind it. Nothing is just here because it's here, and I really love that. I love the fact that people put so much of their heart and soul into these vehicles, and they don't have to, and people often spend more than the vehicle is worth to have it here, to have it back on the road, and to have it looking really great. And that for me is where classic cars win every time, is that every classic car has somebody's heart and soul put into it, or is in the process of having someone's heart and soul put into it. And people at these shows are so friendly and so willing to tell you their stories. So it's not just a lineup of cars, it's a world of new people too.
Now, being a girl from the countryside, I'm an absolute sucker for an old Land Rover, and especially a series. And this one caught my eye as I was walking through the hall, and I thought, I have got to come and find out what is going on here. Now, Paul, this is your car, and it is exceptional for a vehicle which would have been used in many guises as a workhorse. What's the story behind it?
Right, well, I got this about 15 years ago. The 2.25 engine ran for about 2 years before blowing a gasket. So I managed to grab hold of a 2.9 Ford engine, which was a V6, and managed to get a conversion plate that used to be done pretty regular in the 70s, late 80s, with a Steve Parker conversion, and so and then basically it's just been built on from there. Every year, I always add something if I like the look of it.
So how often do you use this?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day.
And is it your only vehicle?
No, got another one, a modern one, but yeah, I use it every day.
And do you go off-roading? Do you do any activities?
Yep, green laning.
You've owned this for 15 years. What advice would you give to someone who's looking for their own series Land Rover?
Well, for anybody really, they're a good starting point. They're basic mechanics, and virtually everything's available for the old Land Rovers. In fact, parts are more available now than what they was in the day.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, we wish you many happy adventures. I hope the show goes well for you, and you should be so very proud because she looks exceptional.
Cheers. Oh, I've done the Scottish 500 in it as well.
Have you?
Yes.
Oh wow, how was that?
That was brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. Recommend that. Yeah, do the 500. We had a couple of storms when we was up there, but it went round very easy. Yeah.
Love that. Well, happy motoring, and we're going to go and see what else we can find.
Okay, bye for now.
Now I'm going to end with a final lineup of cars, including the lineup from the Standard Motor Club, because, well, I couldn't miss them. They've been so helpful to me this year. Anyway, if you're watching this and you've never been before and you are worried about coming because maybe you've got mobility issues, or you've got children in prams, or you've got concerns, you can rent mobility scooters here. You can get round on your own mobility scooter. There are buses from the car park. This really is an accessible venue for everybody. So if you're watching this from home and thinking, I really wanted to come this year, but I was nervous because I didn't know if I could get round. And look, you have my full empathy for this, because I know how hard it can be when you've got mobility issues and you're worried and you're nervous about getting somewhere. I promise you that if you come here, you will be fine. There are places to sit down, mostly outside to be fair. There are places you can sit, there are places to relax, and it truly is accessible for everybody, including children and the elderly. So hopefully see you next year.
This is Terry, and I came to see Terry because I love all the old Morris commercials, and can you believe it's 100 years this year of Morris commercial, and it's such a testament to how much people love these vehicles that they've lasted so long, because as we know, with even modern stuff, when it's a workhorse it just gets used, it's gone, and that's it. Terry, tell us about this beautiful vehicle.
Yeah, it's a vehicle. I've got interest in trucks all my life. My dad was a lorry driver back in the 50s. This came along, somebody had started it, not finished, so we took it on. It's been a long-term project, you know, family, growing up and one thing and another, but needed to get it here this year for the centenary, so hopefully a bit more complete for next year.
Well, you know what, it's a blooming good job that you've got it this far and that it's still here. So, what is it?
It's a Morris Commercial 1 tonne. It's the last of the line.
Yeah.
Basically, because it was first registered in June 39,
Oh yeah.
just before the war broke out, and it didn't get introduced after the war. So, you know, it's got a bit of history. It belonged to the Michelin Tyre Company at Stoke-on-Trent.
Did it really?
That's the only name in the logbook, and then it was used by a company or a garage in Stoke-on-Trent called Oliver Ritz, and that's why it's then ended up in being green. It was originally blue and yellow when it was Michelin.
Oh wow, it's a lovely bit of kit.
Yeah,
And
it's It's had a lot of work. It was a bit rough, you know, obviously, but I've been struggling with people to get specialist stuff done, you know, for time. But mechanically, it's running and driving now, so hopefully.
Well done to you. What's your next job?
Metalwork now. There's some metalwork that goes in this area. The chap has repaired the doors. It's getting near the end.
Well done to you. It's a cracking bit of kit and it's great to see it here. Thank you. Well, I'm sorry that this video hasn't been longer than this and that I haven't been able to show you more cars or chat to more people. But here's the thing, right? I have had the best time at this show. There are so many cars here to see that you can't do it all in one day. There are brilliant stories, there are cars that you've never seen before, there are people that do incredible things to bring cars back from the brink, and that is what the magic of this show is all about. I hope you've enjoyed this bit of taster video. If you want a really decent show report, like where you go real deep into the nitty gritty, Ian and Matt, so Ian from Hubnut and Matt from Furious Driving, have both done cracking videos and you should check them out. But from me today, that's all. So until next time, take care and drive safely.